Was he conscious while you were doing this?
We had a young man, he was about 17, and he had all kinds of troubles with his cranial nerves weren't working. So he did studies and found that he had bilateral acoustic neuronomas, which were about the size of one of those nice round tomatoes, that you buy at the store. Not the great big ones, but they're big. They're almost as big as a baseball, both sides.
Carl, you just told us what that was, but I haven't a clue about what you're talking about. You're using words familiar to you, but unfamiliar. What are you talking about?
Okay. An acoustic neuronoma is a benign, that is, it's not a metastatic tumor, but it grows right at the sides of the brainstem. It's a tumor of the auditory, the hearing nerve. And he had them on both sides. So he had these big balls on each side, and he was beginning to have a lot of difficulty walking and talking, which were indicators that his brainstem was being compressed. And so we had a liver dye surgery. So we brought him in and put him in the sitting position, made a midline incision and opened the posterior fossa. That's the very back part of the brain, down below that little knob thing that you got on your brain. And then for 24 hours, we worked. This is very touchy little work because the seventh nerve, that's the facial nerve, and the eighth nerve, the hearing nerve, are right there. And then he had trouble swallowing, and he had trouble articulating words. He knew the words and he could say them, but he couldn't say them properly because the nerves didn't work.
Now he was, excuse me, was he conscious while you were doing this?
No.
Oh, okay. He wasn't talking.
No.
That was.
No.
All right.
No, that would be 24 hours, not even having a surgery done to you, was a pretty big ordeal. We had two of us surgeons, and we alternated, and we had some real helpful nurses. For example, we only got to go to the bathroom. Well, no, that's a euphemism. We only got to urinate once in our 12-hour shift. We couldn't leave the room because there was too much risk of bleeding and all that. So the nurses were helpful, and I will not expand. And that is how we got through that thing. They would bring in a drink of water, and we'd take a quick slurp of that. We didn't need anything during that whole time either. When we were done, we had a completely open, empty area showing the brainstem, all those little nerves, and they are all intact. And I don't know who was the sickest, the patient or the doctors, but we got through that, and so did he. And over the course of a couple of years, he became very nearly normal. Now, it's possible that those tumors couldn't reoccur. Unlikely, though. I mean, that took him 17 years to get the first go around.
Carl, thank you for that story.